the photo thumbnail that way. Wait for some. Xavier, hi Sarim, how are you? Hi, well, I'm fine. Ayush Kumar, Abhinav. Yes, no, many people haven't been connected yet.
अपना देखो उसमें connected ना हो.
Albert Einstein. Hello, Sarim. Hello. Well, Mr. Einstein has come himself. Digvijay, आप किस class में हो? Well, currently in 9th standard. Albert Einstein, how are you? Well, I'm doing good.
करेंगे connected ना हो उससे.
अभिनव शुक्ला आर्ट्स प्रो, आप अभी क्या स्टडी कर रहे हो फिजिक्स में? वेल, इन फिजिक्स इज रियली नॉट वेरी कोर्स वाइज, जैसे आप नॉर्मली यूनिवर्सिटी में या फिर कॉलेज में एज और स्कूल में एज कोर्सेज स्टडी करते हो. यू हैव like classical mechanics and electromagnetism and waves and thermodynamics. So of course not in that way, but based on according to interest, what will interest me. So according to that only. But these days again quantum mechanics only. Nitin, क्या भाई किस लिए उदास हो? Nitin, why are you sad? No, I'm not.
Natural हो.
This is my default look. मैथ्स क्विज ब्रो, मैं 11th में हूँ, अब खत्म होने वाली है. मैंने फिजिक्स में कुछ भी मैकेनिक्स में नहीं पढ़ा. भाई प्लीज सजेस्ट करो अभी कहाँ से पढ़ूं मैं. सबसे पहले मैंने पीसीएम ली है आईआईटी के प्रिपेयर. सो हियर बेसिकली अगर आपने कुछ अभी तक पढ़ा नहीं है and you are going to be promoted in 12th standard now, but first things first, अभी भी 11th में कुछ महीने में भी बाकी है. So you can clearly see कि इस महीने में आप सारे important chapters and mechanics I will specifically recommend आपको study करना चाहिए. So mechanics के starting chapters like units and measurements, and you have Newton's laws of motion and kinematics. तो ये सारे इंपॉर्टेंट जो चैप्टर्स हैं जो कि 12th के लिए. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल फॉरगेट योर जेई सिलेबस, अपना जेई सिलेबस भूल जाओ. जो कि 12th क्लास की फिजिक्स के लिए प्रीरिक्विजिट्स हैं, आपको पहले वो कवर करना चाहिए. एंड जब 12th के प्रीरिक्विजिट्स कवर हो जाएंगे टिल व्हेन यू रीच इन द 12th स्टैंडर्ड, तब वहां से आप अपना जेई सिलेबस फिर से फोकस करो. मतलब जो 12th का आप लेके चल रहे हो वो तो लेके चलो, लेकिन उसके साथ जो कि भी आपके 11th के चैप्टर्स हैं इन आईआईटी जेई सिलेबस, तो उसको साथ में कवर करो. सो पहली चीज, आपके जो चैप्टर्स 12th के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट जो कि 11th स्टैंडर्ड में, पहले वो कवर करना चाहिए. Mr. Incredible Hacker, hi Sarim, after a very long time I'm watching you. Used to be small kid lol, and your voice is going deeper. Haha. Well, I guess yeah. Bhumika Kohli, please tell me how to resist all the concepts so that it can never be forgotten. Well, why do you want to resist all the concepts? I don't understand. And in case you are asking about to remember, well then in that particular case, it's like you can use one of the many nice techniques to learn concepts so that they can never or almost never be forgotten. One of them is the Feynman techniques, जिस पे मैंने वीडियो भी बनाया था with title best study method, the Feynman techniques. So you can try on using Feynman techniques for whatever topics you feel are super important. You can try solving many problems on that. And so these are some approaches which I think are the most useful, beneficial. मैथ्स क्विज। भाई एचसी वर्मा के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं होते, आपने क्या किया सॉल्व करने के लिए? भाई प्लीज सजेस्ट। एंड भाई स्टार्टिंग में कितना टाइम लगता है एचसीवी के क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करने के लिए भाई? वेल, दैट यहाँ पे एच सी वर्मा के अगर आपको क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने हैं, सो इट इज समथिंग लाइक दिस कि पहली चीज आपको ऑफ कोर्स क्वेश्चन कंसेप्ट्स अच्छे से पढ़ने पड़ेंगे, उन्हें समझने पड़ेंगे ऑन अ वेरी डीप लेवल। सी, एंड व्हेन आई से डीप लेवल, मतलब उन्हें एक्चुअल में समझना होगा। सो इट्स लाइक बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि हम लोग पढ़ते हैं लेकिन क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं होते हैं, एंड दिस एंड दैट एंड दिस एंड दैट। लेकिन क्वेश्चंस वहां पे यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड क्वेश्चंस वहां पे होते क्यों हैं, ताकि आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग सॉलिडिफाई हो। इसीलिए तो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, ताकि आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग और सॉलिडिफाई होगी। वेल नाउ द थिंग इज कि यूजुअली हम लोग क्वेश्चन उन क्वेश्चंस को कंसिडर करते हैं कि ये क्वेश्चंस हमारे टेस्ट हैं। नो, दे आर नॉट। वो क्वेश्चंस आपको टेस्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को सॉलिडिफाई करें। दैट्स हाउ मैं सोचता हूँ इसके बारे में, कि वो क्वेश्चंस जो कि चैप्टर के एंड में होते, ताकि आपने जो पढ़ा है उसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग और सॉलिडिफाई हो, ये देखने के लिए नहीं कि आपको कितना रिटेन्ड है, या फिर उससे आपको कोई मार्क्स नहीं मिल रहे। एचसी वर्मा के एक्सरसाइजेस सॉल्व करने से आपको कोई मार्क्स नहीं मिल रहे, उसके लिए एग्जाम्स होते हैं, क्लियरली होते हैं। लेकिन ये एंड ऑफ चैप्टर प्रॉब्लम्स तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग सॉलिडिफाई करने के लिए होता है। इसीलिए जहां पे भी आपको दिक्कत हो, तो जो भी आपका बेसिकली कोई भी कंसेप्ट पढ़ रहे हो, लेट्स कंसिडर टॉर्क के बारे में क्वेश्चन है, तो अगर आप कई बार ट्राई करो, टॉर्क के बारे में जितना पूरा टॉर्क का जो टॉपिक है, आपने इसके बारे में जितना पढ़ा है, उन सबको रिटेन करने की कोशिश करो, याद करने की कोशिश करो क्या क्या इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स है। एंड व्हेन यू डू दैट, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि अभी भी कोई पॉइंट मिसिंग है, देन गो बैक टू द चैप्टर। उस चैप्टर पे वापस जाओ, उस सेक्शन को वापस पढ़ो, एंड उस सेक्शन को वापस पढ़ो, फिर इस प्रॉब्लम पे आओ। जो भी डिफरेंट अलग अलग तरीके हैं उसको ट्राई करने के लिए, ट्राई दैट, ट्राई दोज डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस। एंड एक टाइमर लगा के इन क्वेश्चंस को सॉल्व करना इज अ स्टूपिड अप्रोच। ऑब्वियसली हम लोग जानते हैं, अगर आप कंपटीशन के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, कई लोग बोलेंगे कि टाइमर लगा के चीजों को सॉल्व करो, एंड डू दिस एंड डू दैट एंड डू दिस एंड डू दैट। लेकिन वो अगेन प्रॉब्लम्स आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को सॉलिडिफाई करने के लिए है, उसे टेस्ट करने के लिए नहीं। एंड सो टाइमर लगा के इसे सॉल्व करने की जरूरत नहीं है, एंड आई डोंट डू दैट। मैं कभी टाइमर लगा के प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं सॉल्व करता हूँ, नो मैटर व्हाट टॉपिक। दैट इज अ थिंग। एंड जब अंडरस्टैंडिंग सॉलिडिफाई हो जाएगी, उसके बाद मे बी जब आपको एक्सक्लूसिवली किसी एग्जाम के लिए प्रैक्टिस करना है, इन दैट केस यू सर्टेनली हैव टू टेक टाइम इनटू कंसिडरेशन। मतलब वहां पे टाइमर आपको लगा के प्रैक्टिस करना है। लेकिन पहली चीज, बिना टाइमर के जितना टाइम उसमें लग रहा है उतना टाइम उसमें इन्वेस्ट करो। आप अपने कंसेप्ट्स रिवाइव करो, फॉर्मूला रिवाइव करो, एंड इन द एंड हो जाएगा। Bhumika Kohli, how to get to know the process of solving the questions in maths, because every question is a new challenge for us. Well, I don't know if it's especially for me, but I feel that every question in physics is a new challenge, considering the type of question. It's like फिजिक्स में दो तरह के क्वेश्चंस आपको मिलेंगे किसी भी पर्टिकुलर एक्सरसाइज में। एक जो कि प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन ही है, कुछ वेरिएबल्स चेंज हो गए। दूसरे जो कि एक नया काइंड का ही क्वेश्चन है, सो विच आर प्रीवियस क्वेश्चंस ओनली, take that aside. But the new kind of question, well, yeah, you face that problem. So I didn't really face this kind of problem in mathematics specifically, like when I was solving other texts like NCRTs or yeah, even RD Sharma. So I didn't face this kind of problem in mathematics, I believe. लेकिन फिर भी जो नए type के questions हैं, they are the ones that will be giving you more knowledge, that will provide you with more knowledge of the very same concept. And मुझे लगता है कि ऐसे ही questions होने चाहिए जो कि हमें अलग अलग kind के practice करने चाहिए, right? So how do you practice them? Well, the way I told कि कैसे HC वर्मा को solve करना है, I guess it is the same process, same technique. सोहम खान, फिजिक्स को स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए कौन सी बेसिक टॉपिक्स मस्ट करना है? मींस बेस क्या है, कौन कौन टॉपिक डिपेंड्स अगेन, आप कौन से लेवल पे फिजिक्स को स्टडी करना चाहते हो, व्हाट यू कंसिडर एज बेस। एंड इट्स लाइक कौन से लेवल पे स्टडी करना चाहते हो? सो अगर आपको एक इंट्रोडक्टरी लेवल की फिजिक्स स्टडी करनी है, सो इट्स लाइक द टिपिकल 11th एंड 12th लेवल की फिजिक्स। उस केस में बेसिक यहाँ पे आई विल कंसिडर कोई उससे बेसिक चीज आई डोंट थिंक इट विल बी, क्योंकि 11th एंड 12th की फिजिक्स रियली में बेसिक से ही पिकअप करती है। सो उसमें मैथमेटिक्स के कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स लाइक कोऑर्डिनेट ज्योमेट्री जो कि अभी तक आपने पढ़ा है वो सब ही कवर होगी। The World Guide, bro. Can you solve JEE Advanced Physics and Mathematics? Well, mathematics, no. I haven't even tried mathematics, not even of JEE means. I haven't just tried it. Physics, well, I have solved many problems. In fact, इस साल, sorry, 2023 में मैंने most problems solve किए थे. You can check them out on YouTube. यहाँ पे there was one question. Resh, will you write JEE or will you become scientist? Which exam will you write? तो यहाँ पे ये मैं I actually want to become a scientist or researcher. So in that case, I'm more towards research field, not very much into JEE or IITs. So I want to do BSc and MSc and then PhD. Soham Khan, thank you. Welcome. मैथ्स क्विज ब्रो, इफ आई स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम टुडे देन कितना टाइम लगेगा अप्रोच बनने में फिजिक्स में? डिपेंड्स। अगर कंसेप्चुअली यू आर आस्किंग, इफ कंसेप्चुअली और यू आर आस्किंग वेदर टू सॉल्व प्रॉब्लम्स, एंड आई वुड से कितना टाइम लगेगा, इट्स लाइक एन एक्सपोनेंशियल फंक्शन एग्जैक्टली उस लेवल पे पहुंचने में जहाँ से आपसे क्वेश्चंस स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं सॉल्व होना, या फिर सारे कंसेप्ट अंडरस्टैंड करना आप सीख जाते हो। सो इट गोज लाइक एन एक्सपोनेंशियल फंक्शन, आई वुड से। जैसे एक सर्किट में एक सर्किट के अंदर लेट्स से यू हैव सम पर्टिकुलर काइंड ऑफ LCR सर्किट, एंड एज यू टर्न द स्विच ऑन, वेल करंट बेसिकली इंक्रीज होता है एंड इंक्रीज होता है, वहां पे इंडक्टेंस भी है, रेजिस्टेंस भी है, कैपेसिटेंस भी है, लेकिन ये कभी भी अपनी वो एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू लेट्स से हियर एप्सिलॉन ओवर द इम्पीडेंस रीच नहीं करता बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्सपोनेंशियल फंक्शन। It doesn't just reach that value, it takes infinite time, so of course it doesn't. So exactly ऐसे लेवल पे पहुंचना जहां से आपसे क्वेश्चंस स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं सॉल्व होना, या फिर सारे कंसेप्ट समझना अगेन हो जाता है, मतलब यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड एनी कंसेप्ट। इट्स लाइक यू डोंट गेट टू रीच दैट लेवल, यू विल ऑलवेज स्ट्रगल विथ इट। तो एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल लाइक जेई या फिर नीट या फिर अंडर ग्रेजुएट के फिजिक्स, एक पर्टिकुलर कुछ ऐसे काइंड के लेवल पे आप एम कर सकते हो, एंड खूब ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस के साथ यू कैन गेट एट दैट। लेकिन overall in physics I would say it doesn't happen that way. I still struggle, and I struggle a lot when it comes to quantum mechanics. I do struggle a lot, especially when it comes to wrapping your head around its concepts. And quantum mechanics में I would say मुझे उतनी mathematical difficulties like problem solve करने में और this and that चीजों को calculate करने में उतनी difficulty नहीं होती है, but I face difficulty in wrapping my head around that particular thing. Like you have उन concepts को actual में समझने में, so that is you'll always feel that way कि अभी भी it is not enough or it is not satisfactory, and I suppose it's okay, you get used to that, and it's like you realize how you really don't know anything. So this was Socrates, I assume. He told that the only thing I know is that I don't know anything. The World Guide, bro, how to solve JEE Advanced Physics question, how to know the approach. Well, JEE Advanced Physics problems to solve them, I guess it takes a lot. No, I know it takes a lot of practice, and it certainly takes lots of concept retaining, advanced mathematical techniques. Now it's not like very advanced mathematical techniques, but the patience to carry out the mathematical steps, to execute the mathematical steps. So it's like you know the concepts, you learn them. उसके बाद what you have to do is practice. And जैसे मैंने एचसी वर्मा वाले के क्वेश्चन में बताया, आपको उसी अप्रोच से प्रैक्टिस करना चाहिए एंड देन टाइम लिमिट या फिर टाइम फ्रेम सेट करना चाहिए एंड उसमें प्रैक्टिस करना चाहिए. Linux user, this guy doesn't even know social. He's just dipped in science. I don't know how he will get to come up with the world. Uh, well, what world is it that you're referring to that isn't created using the laws of physics? So I don't know which world you talk about जिसमें physics के laws use नहीं होते या फिर जो कि physics से नहीं बनी है rather than social science से बनी है. So history. Well, how do you even have a history without physics? Because there's no physics. Well, there's nothing happening. There's no time. There is no history. You have geography. Well, you have nothing. No physics, nothing. No geography. Civics. Well, politics and economy. There's no economy. And there's no politics, of course, because there are no people at all. So there is no social science without physics, without chemistry, without biology, or without mathematics. So you clearly don't have any of these. Plus, I believe that we should all be focused on our own interest, doing what we like on our own self. क्योंकि आपकी सोशल साइंस की नॉलेज 99% लोगों की सोशल साइंस की नॉलेज कहीं काम नहीं आने वाली है. That's the thing. Of course, to develop the intellectual abilities of those people, it does work. But as of to actually dip yourself into that field, 99% people don't do that. So we should all be doing what we believe is right for us to do. आदर्श कुमार ब्रो, जेई का फिजिक्स स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए टिप्स दे दो. जेई के फिजिक्स को स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए इट्स वेल लाइक you know the concepts which have been repeating all over again and again. You know the mathematics needed to solve any particular kind of question. So mostly it's just algebra and calculus, some trigonometry. कुछ trigonometry आपको यूज करना है, कुछ calculus यूज करना है, कुछ algebra. So ये basic mathematical prerequisites हैं. And कंसेप्ट्स आपको अच्छे से आना चाहिए, कंसेप्ट्स आपके क्लियर होने चाहिए. उसके बाद आपका बेसिकली प्रॉब्लम को समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि ये प्रॉब्लम एक्चुअल में आपसे क्या कह रहा है, कि प्रॉब्लम आपसे क्या कराना चाह रहा है. सो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि प्रॉब्लम आपसे क्या, कि कौन सा वेरिएबल मांग रहा है या फिर कौन सी ऐसी चीज मांग रहा है जो कि आप रियल लाइफ में कैलकुलेट करते हो, मे बी इन सम एक्सपेरिमेंट. सो प्रॉब्लम को समझना इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर. रोशन कुमार ब्रो, जेई मैथ्स के लिए कुछ टिप्स बता दो. वेल, आई वुड से द सेम थिंग. प्रॉब्लम को समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करना, ऑफ कोर्स समझोगे देन सॉल्व करोगे. एंड मैथ्स के भी मैथमेटिकल प्रीरिक्विजिट्स, मतलब यहाँ पे बेसिक्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं. कंसेप्ट्स तो आपको आने ही चाहिए, बेसिक थियरम्स एंड ऑल दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग. नाउ द थिंग इज कि इसमें आपको बहुत ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करना है, लाइक एज कंपेयर टू फिजिक्स. इसमें बस बहुत ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करना है. The World Guide Pro, what is your aim in physics field? Well, just research in physics in whatever topics I'm interested in, whatever thing interests me. You have entanglement, or you have quantum fluctuations, or you have quantum gravity. So, whatever topic interests me. आदर्श कुमार, एफबीडी बहुत दिमाग खराब करता है, बता दो उससे अच्छा करने के लिए. वेल, एफबीडी इज नॉट समथिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट. फ्री बॉडी डायग्राम्स बनाने काफी इजी चीज होती है ना. यू डोंट हैव टू बी डीमोटिवेटेड बाय दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. इट्स जस्ट कि आपको इमेजिन करना है कि क्या क्या फोर्सेस अप्लाई हो रहे हैं, एंड इट्स इजी. आपको कैसे करना है? वेल, you have anything, let's say that particular thing is sticked or hung or whatever. तब उस पे क्या क्या forces act कर रहे हैं. पहली चीज़ आपको सोचना है कि वो इक्विलिब्रियम में है अभी, राइट? That particular thing is in equilibrium right now, right? It's in equilibrium, and since it's in equilibrium में नीचे एक तो ग्रेविटी एक्ट करेगी, सो ग्रेविटी को एक्ट करना है, सारी ऑब्जेक्ट्स पे ऑन अर्थ एक्ट करती है। सो ग्रेविटी को काउंटर बैलेंस करने के लिए भी कुछ होना चाहिए। ग्रेविटी एक्ट करिए, वो नीचे करेगी। सो ग्रेविटी तो आपने नीचे ड्रॉ कर दिया, इसको बैलेंस करने के लिए ऊपर कुछ होना चाहिए। वेल ऊपर क्या हो सकता है? आई मीन कौन सा ऐसा दूसरा फोर्स होगा ग्रेविटी को अपोज कर रहा है? यू कैन थिंक कि पहले एक तो और फोर्स एक्ट करेगा ही करेगा। दिस मस्ट बी द नॉर्मल रिएक्शन फोर्स, राइट? ये तो नॉर्मल रिएक्शन फोर्स होगा जो कि इस डायरेक्शन में अगर उस पे प्रेस कर रहे हो, वरना ऐसे कोई नॉर्मल रिएक्शन फोर्स अगर उस पे प्रेस करते तो नॉर्मल रिएक्शन एक्ट करता। ऐसे कोई इन जनरल कोई ज़्यादा नॉर्मल रिएक्शन नहीं एक्ट कर रहा है। सो नॉर्मल रिएक्शन नहीं है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शन भी होगा जो कि ऊपर की डायरेक्शन में। तो इट्स लाइक कि अगर उसे हैंग किया गया है, सो यू कैन सी कि जैसे हैंग किया गया है वहां पे उस पॉइंट पे, उस हिंज के पॉइंट पे नॉर्मल रिएक्शन एक्ट करे अपवर्ड के डायरेक्शन में। तो एक ग्रेविटी नीचे, एक नॉर्मल रिएक्शन ऊपर। अगर उसे स्टिक किया गया है तो वहां पे विस्कस फोर्सेस एक्ट कर रही है जिसने इसे स्टिक करके रखा है। सो दैट इज वो एंड दैट इज अपोजिंग ग्रेविटी, राइट? या रिस्पेक्टिव एक्सेलरेशन। Soumya P, what happens to capacitance of a capacitor? The charge on it is tripled. The capacitance doesn't change, ठीक है? And it's like कि अगर आप उस पे चार्ज पुट कर रहे हो तो वो आप एक एक्सटर्नल करंट से कर रहे हो। सो इट्स क्लियरली लाइक वो आपके एक एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर है टू द कैपेसिटर इटसेल्फ। वो तो एक एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर है, लेकिन कितना चार्ज वो स्टोर कर रहा है, वेल दैट इज बेसिकली अ मेजर ऑफ द कैपेसिटेंस ऑफ दैट। कितना चार्ज स्टोर कर रहा है, नॉट उसमें कितना चार्ज है, मतलब कितना चार्ज स्टोर कर सकता है, दैट इज फॉर दिस गिवन पोटेंशियल और whatever. So that is basically capacitance. सिर्फ इसकी geometrical properties पे depend करता है. So even if it is tripled, capacitance remains same. What? What? So that's the profile name. What resource do you use for physics theory? Depends for what subject in particular. You have like fluid mechanics or you have quantum theory. So depends particularly on the subject. So it's like मैं usually on different topics I have used lots of books. I have covered lots of books. Like recently जो मैंने recent general textbook cover किया, that was Resnick Halliday Crane. But on classical mechanics, if you now take it separately, so on classical mechanics, I have studied a little bit of Goldstein. So it's like I haven't cleared it yet. I haven't. Quantum mechanics by Griffiths, I have studied that. लेकिन इसको अगर साइड करते, so one or rather three books that I have almost used for all the things that you, all the fields that you can think of, at least in the undergraduate physics curriculum. So it's like the Feynman lectures on physics is by far the best books that I have come across yet by now for the intuition behind the particular kind of phenomena. So the Feynman lectures on physics, whatever topic you can think of, it's like ferromagnetism. So you have ferromagnetism, you have the flow of wet water as one chapter in Feynman lectures are called. So all these kind of chapters, whatever chapters there are, it's just the things that are explained in such a lucid manner. So Feynman lectures, I've always used that. मुझे किसी भी चीज की एक अच्छी intuition चाहिए, understanding चाहिए, I always consult Feynman lectures for that. They're just amazing. And they're called the Bibles of physics, right? What I have heard, Feynman lectures are difficult to understand. Well, the thing is कि Feynman lectures को मुझे लगता है even though they were given to introductory undergraduate students, लेकिन मुझे लगता है अगर आपको subject की already understanding है, then उस case में आप Feynman lectures को पढ़ते हो and आपको एक अच्छा insight मिलता है into that particular subject. तो अगर आपको electromagnetism सीखना है, so I wouldn't really recommend कि Feynman lectures से सीखो. I wouldn't recommend that. अगर आपको इनफ इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिज्म ऑलरेडी आती है एंड आपको एक अच्छे इंसाइट चाहिए इनटू दैट टॉपिक, then I would say Feynman lectures को पढ़ो, and it is really very fun to read. I mean, you see कि कैसे ideas unfold होते हैं according to Feynman's topic आना चाहिए. In fact, almost everyone believes वो trust me, it is really and Jackson, well, it can give many, in fact, almost all the people who will solve that, it can give them sleepless nightmares. So, Khan, do you love philosophy? Do you read philosophical books? Do you like philosophy? Well, I don't hate philosophy. That is the thing. And I didn't have any particular drive towards philosophy any time in the past, but I've been planning to read philosophy. So, not right now, but I've been planning after I'm done with certain bit of more physics, like quantum physics, what am I'm doing right now, or I have to again cover Jackson's electrodynamics. So once I'm a little bit more free from all this, and I believe कि अभी I have enough अच्छी understanding of physics, and I just want to go more in depth, and I've covered almost all topics that I need to cover. I only have to go in depth right now, and maybe in that case I get to philosophy part. Again, एक चीज होती है जो quantum mechanics की interpretations होते हैं, so they are very much philosophy. The World Guide, bro. I'm studying classical mechanics by David Morin. It is it good for J advanced physics? No, it's not. Like J, if you are studying Morin's classical mechanics and you hope to clear J advanced physics, well, if your absolute aim, primary target is only J advanced physics, don't do it. There's no necessity to do Morin's classical mechanics. Even though I haven't solved myself, I told it I am doing Goldstein's classical mechanics. बट मॉरिन्स बुक इज एक्चुअली एन अंडर ग्रेजुएट बुक जो कि आपको आईआईटी के अंदर में भी पढ़ाई जाएगी. सो आपको आईआईटी के अंदर वो पढ़ाई जाएगी अगर आपका जस्ट फॉर द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ फिजिक्स इटसेल्फ है कि आप क्लासिकल मैकेनिक्स पसंद है या आपको फिजिक्स पसंद है, आपकी आपको डेविड मॉरिन्स बुक अच्छी लग रही है, जस्ट डू इट. ऑफ कोर्स आई वुड रिकमेंड अ लॉट. लेकिन इसे स्पेसिफिकली फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ जे एडवांस्ड फिजिक्स आई वुड से it is not recommended for JE Advanced. But again, if you like to do physics, just do it. All the best for that. Oh, Ovas Ahmed J, when are you giving NSCP? Well, when I'm eligible for that according to age criteria. Soumya P, bro, I have a question. In an AC circuit consisting of a coil and a bulb, how will the brightness of the bulb change if the frequency of source is increased? Well, since oftentimes जो हमारे AC circuits होते हैं उसमें angular frequency या फिर frequency इतनी high होती है, so this is frequency of the source, that is of the AC source itself, कि since brightness of the bulb you won't really notice it changing, you will not really notice it changing. And why won't it change? In fact, इसकी maximum brightness or minimum brightness or maybe the so that thing is not going to change really. In fact, minimum brightness is when it doesn't radiate light energy at all, so that's completely different thing. Like in brightness, when you say maximum brightness, or it might be the root mean square brightness, so by that I mean intensity as of spoken by the root mean square perspective. सो वो चेंज नहीं होगा क्योंकि आप क्या चेंज कर रहे हो, फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज कर रहे हो. मतलब आप ये चेंज कर रहे हो कि किस रेट से ये ऊपर एंड नीचे होगी, ये फ्लक्चुएट होगी. चेंजिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी, राइट? मतलब फ्लक्चुएशन का आप रेट चेंज कर रहे हो. एंड इवन अगर रेट चेंज कर रहे हो आप इसे नोटिस नहीं कर पाओगे क्योंकि एज यू कैन सी दिस लाइट राइट हियर, यहाँ पे भी चेंज हो रहा है. इट इज कनेक्टेड टू एन एसी सोर्स, लेकिन हम हमारी आईज नोटिस नहीं करेंगे. व्हाई? बिकॉज़ दिस चेंज इज सो सडन. दिस चेंज इज सो सडन. ये ओमेगा या ये एंगुलर फ्रीक्वेंसी इतनी हाई होती है दैट यू डोंट नोटिस इट, एंड प्लस द ब्राइटनेस वोंट रियली चेंज. Sanjeev Kumar, hi, what is your most favorite theory in physics which excite you most? Uh, my most favorite theory. So that these are different things when it comes to equations, and when it comes to theorems, when it comes to principles or laws, and when it comes to theories. So I have different lists for each one of them. Kind of that my favorite theory in physics, which excites me the most, would be the general theory of relativity. So it's like you can see key gravity is caused by the change, by the curvature in the geometry of space time, by objects placed in it. So I think that does excite me the most, even though, slight footnote here, that I haven't really learned general relativity, but general idea behind this, I guess I do like it a lot. But now again, it's like I have to yet uh, learn general relativity at I'm doing quantum theory right now. So I think quantum theory is really also kind of nice thing to do. It does excite me, but it also gets very frustrating very soon when you don't understand the conceptualities. Soumya P, bro, what is the integral of cortex? I don't know. Just find from Google or your notebook. Why do I have to keep such information in my head? What? How to self teach yourself the calculus required for for Halliday Resnick Crane? Well, it is not really very advanced calculus. Rather, Resnick Halliday Crane is also an introductory undergrad textbook. So the calculus used in this will be just basic differentiation and integration. So differential and integral uh, calculus, and just not very advanced. But you should be, I guess, not even very good at at integrating things, but differentiation you should be fluent with that. Now when it comes to integration, even I come across many integrals per day that I can't solve, and I need some other methods to solve them, or I need to try very hard. So integrals are really a very much pain in the neck. Now, so you need to know differentiation and integration. Well, you can learn that from anywhere, maybe Khan Academy, watch my lectures, and just any math book. And uh, little bit of multivariable calculus, but that you'll come across. So just partial differentiation, that's it. A Linux user, this guy doesn't know integral of cortex and does quantum mechanics. How you even solving questions involving integration? And we don't need to learn or memorize the integrals of cortex to solve quantum mechanics. Well, you should be, I suppose, smart enough to realize that, because I guess you are around 17 years old, right? So you're around 17 years old, and considering that you have an IQ of 100, which is considering ratio IQ, so that is an IQ, the way ratio IQ is calculated, your mental age over chronological age into 100. So you should have, considering an IQ of 100, you should have a mental age of 17 only if you are 17 years old. Well, if you have an IQ of 50, so you should at least have the half of 17. That should be your mental age. And I suppose that even at that level of mental age, you should realize कि हमें कॉर्टेक्स का इंटीग्रल की वैल्यू मेमोराइज या फिर इसका फंक्शन मेमोराइज नहीं करना पड़ता है. रादर व्हेन इट कम्स टू solving quantum mechanics or solving any problem in physics whatsoever, so you can just calculate it or consult Google when it's necessary to do so. So you should know at least that much, I suppose. Now, Satyam Parijya, do you think always using direct notation is an advantage in physics? Well, I don't think always using direct notation is an advantage in quantum physics. But yeah, most of the times, sometimes, and most of the times, it is very beneficial. But sometimes it can get a little, like when you're writing out, so it can get a little confusing and frustrating, maybe. So it also does good without direct notation sometimes. So depends what kind of problem you are trying to solve, or but I do believe that it is really a very big advantage in quantum mechanics most of the times. Tushar Thombar, your age in class, well, currently 13 years old in 9th standard. Now, Aditya, bro, how many pages do you study per day? Well, it's no fixed number of pages, varies a lot according to what I'm studying. Tushar Thomber, NEET or JEE? None of them. I actually want to do research in physics. Aditya, Adi, sir, what branch of physics do you like the most? So, branch considering, I would say it's like what I've already read and studied. So it's basically quantum mechanics, I would say, because it does give you lots of detailing about what is going on. Now, when I say detailed things, so I actually mean at a very fundamental and elementary level how things are actually happening. So I would say quantum mechanics, according to what I've already learned. Maybe in future it's going to be general relativity or quantum field theory. I have yet to learn lots of topics. These two, basically, mainly. Rahul Das, how to study astronomy from basic without any degree? Well, to study astronomy from basic without any degree, I suppose you need to learn physics and maths for that. So you need to learn physics to you need to learn maths to do physics, and of course to do astronomy you need to learn physics. So first of all, I think a good foundation building is important for astronomy in physics and in mathematics. So you can first of all learn physics and mathematics, and then you can proceed with maybe some introductory books on astronomy and proceed ahead with more advanced books. Tushar Thomber, do you study biology, chemistry, and mathematics? Well, not biology, not chemistry, mathematics, yes. Lolite, hi, hi. Aditya, how do you understand tough physics concept by only self-study? Well, needs lots of times, needs lot of dedication. But the thing is that it's not even a question. I mean, कैसे किया जाता है, all of us know. But I think most of the time we don't really want to accept कि हमें इतनी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. So we want to try to find shortcuts. So, but everyone has the answer. You need a lot of dedication for that. You need a lot of learning for that, a lot of referencing and going through lots of textbooks and books. So that is how you do it. What can we learn topics in physics like thermodynamics from scratch from Wikipedia? Well, I think Wikipedia is not a very good source to learn from scratch. So it's like topics in thermodynamics. So topics like thermodynamics, you will basically see कि मान लो when you try to learn thermodynamics from Wikipedia, for instance. So as you open that, it will tell you thermodynamics is the study of heat and their whatever heat and energy and their relation, and it will give you the link for the specific section of heat. There only तो you'll think कि हाँ ये अब पढ़ लेता हूँ, and as you enter in that heat link, it tells you that heat is this energy transferred from here to that, and as you scroll down, you find that there is connection of thermodynamics there. You go back to the thermodynamics section, then you try to read thermodynamics again, there is connection of heat in there. So it gets really confusing and really cyclic in Wikipedia. That is why I think that it is good for referencing for materials, and it is good for basically understanding, having a deeper understanding, or at least finding references, but not very good for learning from scratch, I believe. What then? What should be the source to study from scratch? I believe books are what you should be mainly learning from. Lolite Wikipedia are for casual people, not advanced. Yeah, that's well said. Aditya, how many books have you completed last year of 2023? I don't know. I didn't count. Alma Khan, I'm student of class 10. I want to ask a question in physics. Please answer me. Well, sure do. Gulshan Kumar, hello सारे में एक डाउट है क्लियर करोगे? Well, sure you can ask. Oh, and Lolite bro, how to complete a book means physics and maths. Means I need strategy. Well, to complete a book of physics and maths, physics coming first, you need to start it from basically the beginning. And don't rush through the book, of course. Study it page by page till study a paragraph many times, as many times it takes for you to understand each paragraph or each line. Read them over and over again till you understand them all. Try the worked out problems. I mean, everyone knows it, right? How do you study them? That is really basic. You need to start from starting. You need to study it thoroughly and end it at the ending of the book. That's how you do it. Linux user, what's the formula for potential at a point less than its radius? For a non-conducting solid sphere, if you don't know, explain the way to find it. Well, maybe you could try completing your question and mention the charge distribution, of course, and maybe I could tell you. So try mentioning the charge distribution. Also, the emoji at the end doesn't make you very cool. And Lolite, bro, you know Rampo. Well, yeah, I know world's greatest detective. Um, can you please recommend me a best book for higher mathematics? I'm in class 9th, Aditya Gaming. Well, higher mathematics, if you have, you should, I think, cover NCRTs maybe. Try covering NCRTs, depending on what level of books you are able to understand and you what level of books are you not able to understand. So, thodi jo have. I mean, that was my first anime. What is POV on disappearance of Ring of Saturn? Neat student. Well, my point of view, if you talk about the disappearance of Ring of Saturn, well, it's not even a point of view or a opinion. It's like if it is calculated, well, it's going to happen unless some other kind of phenomena that maybe occurs that was not part of our calculations. So it's no point of view over that if it's calculated. So as far as in those parameters, it's going to happen. Aditya, have you not found any doubts that you cannot clear by yourself? If yes, so how solved? Well, I solve it almost all the times by myself. And in case I I am not able to solve the doubts myself, well, at least if it's at least if it's conceptual, so it's like I don't even remember which questions I had. Now, don't mean to be uh, really a kind of, what do you even call it, victim of Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, no, it's like I most of the time it just gets solved with proper thinking over and over again. Linux user non-conducting, it's mentioned. Now answer, say the answer what you have assumed. Well, stop maybe just copy pasting the question from Google or somewhere else. Just mention the charge distribution. It's like, do you have the charge distribution all across the sphere? Do you have some other charge distribution in which the sphere is placed, other charges that are present there? So you need to mention the charge distribution. Where are you placing the charge? How are you placing the charge in discrete units, in continuous units as of charge density, or what? So you need to mention that, and that is how you basically then solve it. Well, if you don't mention the charge distribution, you just assume how we that I you want me to answer. Well, then all I can give you is a rough formula, and you can use that formula to calculate it. Well, you have for a particular kind of for a single charge, the formula that you have for a point charge at maybe a distance r, it is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, that charge q over the distance r. This is the potential value. If you have a number of discrete charges, well, you carry out a summation of this particular thing over all these charges of this ratio q over r. If you have a charge density, well, then you carry out an integral of this particular thing. So it's like integral of 1 over r, and this dq that you have, इस dq को replace भी कर सकते हैं. कैसे कर सकते हैं? Well, if it is a volume charge distribution, well, you can write this dq as a volume charge density times a volume unit. So it is a rho dv, for instance. Then you can, if it is a continuous basically distribution, well, it's like volume charge density constant. You can take rho out of the integral, integrate, you have integral of dv over r. That is how you do it. So unless you explicitly mention what kind of charge distribution I have, I cannot tell you any further than this. Linux user, I have said that the potential at a point less than the radius everyone know. For a point outside, I mean by internal point, you carry out this particular integral inside this sphere. All right. And आपका चार्ज कहाँ पे लोकेटेड है? यू नीड टू टेल मी कि आपने चार्ज रखा कहाँ पे है. जस्ट मेंशन कि आपका चार्ज रखा कहाँ गया है. एंड व्हेन यू टेल कि चार्ज रखा कहाँ गया, आई टेल यू कि हाउ टू रियली कैलकुलेट इट. एंड all right, charge is inside the sphere. Well, is it distributed over the entire sphere or inside the volume of the entire sphere, or is it at the center of the sphere? That's what non-conducting sphere means. Well, non-conducting sphere is जहाँ पे चार्ज आपने रख दिया, चार्ज वहीं पे रहता है. So आपने चार्ज कहाँ पे रखा है? Okay, it's distributed all over the inside the sphere. All right. Now, assuming it's a uniform distribution, you have a spherical surface over here. You want to calculate the potential, right? So I assume a sphere, it has a radius maybe capital R, and you want to calculate it at a point that is a small r distance. The distance is smaller from the center of the sphere, and it is the charge has been distributed inside this entire sphere uniformly, and that's what I'm assuming. How do you calculate the potential? Well, one way to calculate the potential is the formula that I mentioned, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, the integral of the charge density times the volume element over this distance. तो आप क्या कर सकते हो कि इस केस में आपके पास जो बड़ा वाला स्फीयर है, well, just forget that. ये जो छोटा स्फीयर, एक kind का Gaussian sphere you might even assume. So you might consider this Gaussian sphere, and well, you consider it, you integrate this particular thing, and I'm assuming a uniform charge density. Take rho out of this integral. So it is an integral of the volume element over, and it is an integral with respect to the volume elements, right? And an integral of what? Well, it's an integral of 1 by r. That is one way to do it. But take that very mathematical approach aside. Another very interesting way to do this particular kind of thing will be, well, you want to calculate potential, right? You might want to calculate the fields, and that would be a very interesting approach right here. Calculate the fields using Gauss law, because that is really easy to do. How do you calculate the field? Well, you can use Gauss law, जो कि charge उस particular चीज के अंदर होगा. And again, I have assumed a uniform charge density. So rho is uniform. आपको बस calculate करना है the volume of the inside sphere. It is a sphere, so 4/3 pi small r cube. That's the volume. A uniform charge density rho. So उसके अंदर that's the charge inside. इतना charge अंदर है. Well, if this इतना charge अंदर है, you clearly know कि this divided by epsilon naught आपने किया, this should be the surface integral of the electric field. Since the electric field यहाँ पे हर direction, हर जगह अगर आप देखो, so it's like the electric field really points outward of the sphere and the area vector as well. So you can basically take this as integral of EdA. No need considering even them as vectors. It's the dot product, right? And when you do this, this should equal this whatever q over epsilon naught जो कि मैंने आपको बताया. And well, then you can basically take this E maybe out of the equation when you carry out. You just have to integrate this, right? So you can basically find this electric field according to your particular charge distribution. You find this electric field, you might then want to find the electric force. So that is that the force is basically negative and the potential gradient, right? So you force with respect to this, but you have, right, and you have your potential. So that was one way I told you of carrying out that integral. Even this involves integrals, but I use this involves better. I think this involves better integrals.
Sure.
लाइनक्स यूजर इंटरनल पॉइंट से करने में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होगा, क्योंकि गॉस में तो हमें उस इंटरनल पॉइंट तक का रेडियस का एक मास फाइंड करके उसका वॉल्यूम फाइंड करना, हमें इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड या पोटेंशियल फाइंड. Well, no, you don't want to find mass here because we are talking about charges, right? I'm talking about electric potential. So I'm talking about electric potential, and मैंने एक uniform charge density assume किया है, क्योंकि एक uniform charge density के बिना how are you even going to solve this problem? एक uniform charge density आपको as an initial variable चाहिए. So मैंने ये uniform charge density rho assume किया, and well, the volume of this small sphere that you have, जिस point पे आपको small r पे you need to mention आपको कहाँ पे find करना है, and at that particular distance you multiply the volume of this sphere, which is 4/3 pi small r cube, and small r is the distance from the center, right? तो ये तो volume हो गया. And what is charge? Rho times this number. So you have that particular whatever you want to find from here. That is the charge. Gokul Sharma, in which class you read? In which class you read? And I am currently in 9th standard. What one single book will you recommend to your past self before starting the topic from scratch? Again, depends on which topic. So it's like if physics, so I think I don't think I would really want to change anything. Like the way I approach things or the way I studied, I think it was all good according to time. I did it all well. At 2.3, bro, can you tell me about refractive index? Well, refractive index is a really interesting concept when you study it in depth and you study the origin of the refractive index. That's a really interesting thing. And to really understand refractive index, I think you do need to, I mean, कि ये क्यों exist भी करता है? Like, why does refractive index exist? So you basically have to learn about electric fields and all this thing, the magnetic fields, the electromagnetic nature of light, and once you learn that, you basically see कि कैसे इसकी वजह से refractive index materials में arise करता है, or how is it is a property of material depends on the configuration of the atoms inside the material. But what I can basically tell you as in short about refractive index is कि this is that property जिसकी वजह से क्या होता है when light goes from one medium to another. Well, it's like light की wavelength कम हो जाती है, and since light की wavelength कम हो रही है, light की speed through चीज कम हो जाती है. So if it is a refractive index, greater than 1. Srejat, the other can refractive index be less than 1? No, it cannot be less than 1. So it has to always be greater than 1, or the speed of light would exceed its value as in vacuum, which is not possible. So it always has to be greater. Linux user, try orally or write in the board and find the answer. I have literally told you the way you find it. This was what you ask it to tell me. How do you find it? I am not interested in exactly finding it. I'm interested in how you find it, right? And write the board. There's no board here. And orally, well, I really told you orally. आपके पास अब जो चार्ज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, मैंने आपको फॉर्मूला भी बता दिया. जो चार्ज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, will you put in that charge distribution and you integrate this thing. Aditya, how do you approach a chapter step by step, and you make notes or not? Well, I do make notes, but not for the sake of revising it ever again. I really don't revise my notes, like oftentimes or most of the times again. Ultimate productions, any recent breakthrough in science that really explains that we are growing as a species? Well, one of the new quantum theories of gravity has been discovered by Dr. Jonathan Oppenheim, and it's basically it assumes gravity to be a classical, not a quantum phenomena. And I did even shoot a very short video about that, and you can read its articles, and it's really interesting. So, a new quantum theory of gravity that can be experimentally tested in the next few years or decade, maybe. Well, I think it's going to already be an hour, so we should stop at this point. We really had lots of discussion, and we particularly had a dispute with Linux user also. So in that case, well, I'm not. In that case, I am now going to stop this stream, and then good night to all the viewers. Bye.
See you soon.